real business owner.
Whatever your situation is currently is not your forever situation.
That's really what real business owners is, man. Like, we don't care where you come from, where are you going?
Our goal and our job is to reduce the mistakes that you have to make or the money that you have to lose.
You want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be successful, don't give up.
You learn, adjust, and continue to move forward. Welcome back to the Real Business Owners Podcast. This is episode 116 with myself, Trevor Cowley, Kilo G.
What's up?
Guys, today we have a guest for you, and this is an individual that we've wanted to come out to St. George and be on the podcast for a while. We've talked about it a little bit. We've talked on the phone a little bit, created a little bit of a relationship more via phone, via Instagram, and then also an Arate Syndicate brother as well. So that's kind of what brought us together in terms of, starting to build a relationship. I think somebody reached out to you, or you reached out to somebody, and then they said, hit me up.
Chance.
And then Chance said, hit me up, and then that's how you created the connection. So, guys, today we have Brad Modrich on the show for you. This individual, he's an owner of Med Spa, multiple, or just one?
One Med Spa.
One Med Spa. Trifecta Credit Solutions, so he's a direct competitor of our credit repair company. So still use 60-day credit repair.
It's all love.
No, I just kid. No, actually, how we connected was you had questions about the whole credit repair gig, and I was saying, here's how you do it. Da-da-da. So when we've talked about this before on the show, that individuals in your same industry don't have to be competitors. You can lift each other. There's enough business to go around, right? And I wasn't necessarily concerned. I'm obviously not going to lift up the hood of the car and show you everything, right? Because, if I showed them exactly how we're generating leads and the exact ads, then our ads go up. But in terms of commissions, in terms of our price points, in terms of merchanting, we covered a whole bunch of stuff on that phone call. Also, as you guys know, me and Kel are investors in Everbowl, the corporate company, as well as we have an Everbowl franchise. Brad was like, what's up with Everbowl? Did an intro. Now he owns an Everbowl. He actually owns one before us. Yeah, so he's cashing checks before us. Yeah. That's the asshole move. I do the intro.
Bro. He moves quick.
He moves quick. He makes shit happen. So, dude, we appreciate you flying out here and getting on the show for real. It means a lot to us.
First off, I've been following you guys, obviously, since Arte. Such a first-class operation you guys have here.
Oh, appreciate it,
to see, and for people watching this in social media, they
don't get to see the behind the scenes.
They don't see it, but there's something different that happens. Like when you walk in, people love you from your social media and all of the little nuggets that you drop. But when you come and you see the machine working, like when I just walked back into that sales area, you felt the energy.
Yeah.
Like success and failure leaves clue.
Yeah.
Like, first off, it's an honor just to be here, and you guys have done an amazing job. And I don't just speak for myself. Yeah. I speak for many people, like people who follow me. I say you got to follow these two guys. There's three things you got to follow. Obviously, besides the Andy and the Eds, people that I know that they could relate with. It's Trevor, Kale, Real Business Owners.
No, bro. So we definitely appreciate it.
First class, man. First class.
And to have the recommendation come from you, it means a lot.
Yeah.
Right? It means a lot. I think there's a lot of mutual respect, in the room. Like we have a lot of respect for you, and your hustle muscle's big. I mean, you got big muscles just in general, but, we know that, deep down, you're just one of those guys. If you put your mind to something, you're just going to get it done. And we completely respect those type of individuals because there's not a lot of them. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of big talkers. Yeah. There's a lot of people that say that they're going to do this or I'm gonna. Well, fuck your gonna. Brad does shit. Yep. He makes shit happen. I did an intro. Next thing you know, he owns a fucking store.
Yeah.
Right? That's the reason why I felt comfortable enough to do it. Right? Yeah. Like I'm not going to give an introduction or take time and talk to people on the phone just for the fun of it. Well, I just know that you're one of the individuals that will do something with the information or a contact or a connection as long as it's made.
You think about how big the Arte group's gotten, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know everybody in that group anymore. It's so big, but everybody knows Brad, dude. That's why they're handing the awards out on the stage.
Motherfucker has too much charisma, dude. He's gonna take over. He's gonna take over our show, dude.
I'm just taking notes. Hold on, this isn't recording. Let me make sure this is recording over here.
No,
I saw you getting that award though. I'm like, dude, I'm not even surprised though because like we were part of this Arte when it was pretty small, and it's just it's gotten massive.
Yeah.
We've been in these different directions, but man, you've gotten to know everybody in the group. You're making deals happen all over the place. You're showing up, like you are here today.
Yeah.
And it's like, no wonder you're getting an award from those dudes, man. That's pretty incredible.
You're
and
making moves
pretty cool.
in business. Your networking skills are through the roof.
Yeah.
You're one of the better ones, right? You're just, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the humility, coachability. I don't know, but there's just not a lot of people that, even reach out. They don't have enough humility. Their pride or their ego's in the way. They don't want to ask somebody else for help. I don't know what it is, but you just do an amazing job of it with a ton of humility, and you're so thankful and appreciative of the time that you get, and the connections that you make. And it's just always authentic. It's always genuine. And I think that that's why a lot of people are drawn towards you in Arete. You just have that personality where it's just authentic, and you do have that charisma.
I'm humbled, bro. I really am. Coming from you guys, it means a lot.
Just know that. So let's jump into it. Let's talk a little bit about maybe what you were doing prior to entrepreneurship, in terms of the transition from, hey, I was an employee, this is what I was doing. Maybe this is what happened in my life that made me realize that this is the path I want to go down. I want to start becoming an entrepreneur. I want to invest my money. Because obviously that first time that you start thinking about that, it's just a scary time in terms of making a transition from, working for somebody to working for yourself. So let's talk about where you were in terms of the transition to entrepreneurship.
Yeah, so I worked for LA Fitness, a national health club chain. I was with them for almost 18 years.
Okay.
The first 8 years, I was running a location. I opened up the location up in Allentown, PA, and got promoted to VP. So 17 years total. Sales and marketing.
So you must know, what's his name?
Kurt.
Oh, absolutely.
Livingston.
Yeah, Kurt. Yeah. Kurt's a great guy. Kurt and Tony. So funny story.
Yeah.
We would get these leaderboards, and there was 3 VPs at the time. It was always Brad, Tony, and Tyler, and we would battle on this national leaderboard. Tony's a beast.
Just kind of
back and forth, and selling personal training. Yeah.
So was Tony involved in LA Fitness too then?
Oh yeah, Tony was.
So that's how maybe Kurt and Tony know each other then, is from LA Fitness, and then they partnered on that roofing company.
Correct.
That's going to do over $100 million this year.
Correct.
They've built quite the machine.
Yeah. They've absolutely crushed it. So
he's a beast.
I don't know what they did at LA Fitness to attract a bunch of guys like that, like you, Kurt, Tony. I mean, obviously the high level guys were high level guys.
Hey, some people have natural leadership skills and they realize it, and then they work even harder on it. And I feel like that's what those guys do, man. They're like, they've got that leadership edge, and then they know it, and so then they double down on it, they work on it, and it's like, man, they bring the best out of people, man.
Well, to answer your question, like how it transitioned from corporate environment to entrepreneurship, I think Kurt, all of us, we experienced
18 years is a long time.
Yeah.
So it's so easy for an individual to continue to do that because that's all you knew for 18 years of your life, right? And so to be able to peel off and have a transition, that had to be difficult because that's all you knew for 18 years.
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah.
But to get back, just real quick, to get back to that point, Kurt was there 22 years.
Yeah.
Tony was there, I think, 15 years. So and this is where, again, we talk about culture, we talk about infrastructure and how you build, a great team that sticks with you forever. LA Fitness in the beginning, as a GM, just running one location, I was making like $150 a year.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, high school dropout, convicted felon, where am I going to make $150 a year in my mind, right?
That's just your limiting beliefs kicking in. Reminding you of all the things that you're not, right?
So when I get promoted to VP, you're talking about $225, $250. There was 2013, the infrastructure changed. So regional VPs started making like $150. GM started to make like $60, $70. They put it to like a full scale retail type of pay plan. Gotcha. Same thing you would have at Target or any other retail location. When that changed, the culture changed.
Right. Every time.
Every time.
Cut commissions.
Yeah, you just don't cut. Yeah. Cut pay. Yeah. Talk about taking a huge culture dive. That's exactly what will happen. Half our sales reps on our credit repair company came from another company in town that cut commissions. And the only people that are really getting affected by the cut commissions were the people that were the top producers. Because the low end people weren't hitting the higher commissions anyways. Right. So now you've got a group of high performers that are upset at the company that they used to work for. Guess whose door they came knocking on?
That's right.
They came to us. And now we have 3 or 4 absolute killers in there. And the only thing that when we change commissions, they go up.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They do better.
They do better.
Right.
They get excited. We're like, dude, you guys are killing it. Like, if you guys continue to keep killing it for the next 6 months and we're making money, we can bump commissions again.
Yeah.
You know, so they're kind of bought in like, hey, let's all win. Let's all freaking produce so that the company has more money to ultimately pay out. That's just how we view things. If we're making more money, everybody should be making more money. And that's just, it should be a trickle down effect.
That's right.
It shouldn't be a trickle up and then you just take it all, right?
It's like
you have to think about your people because
have to.
Think about it. Brad's not at LA Fit. Kurt's not there. Tony's not. These are 3 people that are high level people that probably all left around about that same time when shit started getting cut.
Yeah.
So when it happened, though, what was your mindset like? How did you get to that point where you're like, I got to do something different?
So something happened where right towards the end, they wanted to tie a pay structure in to the P&L. And so it was for the first time on a VP level, we got to see like the true P&L, like what the bottom line was.
Yeah.
Right.
And the second I saw that, I was like, this is what my market's making, and I'm making this.
Yeah.
Something's wrong. Like at that point, that's when I understood what the value was that I brought to the table.
Gotcha.
And then it was just like, I asked for a raise. They said no. And I was like, I'm walking away. And I gave my 2 weeks. And then immediately, and
You
first
had no
off,
backup plan at that point?
no backup plan. But first off, just to put a bubble around this, I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for LA Fitness.
Yeah.
No mistake
No hate,
about it. As an
right?
employee, the corporate infrastructure.
I've seen, obviously, multiple people perform very high outside of LA Fitness, and I would bet that a lot of the skills that they learned, a lot of the success that they're seeing were based upon that period of time at LA Fitness.
That culture, like the stuff that we learned and taught, and champions nights, and how to really build your team, like how to get your guys to run through a wall. And we didn't go for the the guys who had the perfect resume. We wanted guys that had a little bit of grit to them.
Yeah.
Because these guys can go out, and it was
Something
just
to prove, right?
We showed this. Like someone showed me how to make 6 figures, being a high school dropout, convicted felon.
Yeah.
Right.
I ran the play, and I was like, well, if I can do it, I can teach someone else to do it. And that's just where it scaled. So we looked for guys that needed the opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we really recruited.
Well, it's like if
Some
you
of our best have been the exact same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I look at it as like if you give them a lifeline when they don't feel like that they ever had that type of opportunity, they're going to be loyal for a long time, right? Like what other options do they have? Because maybe they have a little bit of a speckled past.
Yeah.
Because all the corporate jobs, they're going to do background checks and this and that or whatever. Sometimes people have a speckled past. I have one. You have one, right? We all have one. And there's tons of people that are listening that have one as well. And there's companies out there looking for people like you. So just because you have a speckled past doesn't disqualify you from something great like a $150,000 a year job.
That's
or
right.
a $250,000 a year job. But it's going to take a lot of fucking commitment, and it's going to take a shit ton of work in order to do it. It's not like you went there and just did nothing and worked your way up to the top 3, right?
no,
you
bro.
had to put in the work. So
I was put in gorilla costumes, sitting on a corner with like a Zero Now sign, join now on the weekend. Like I did whatever it took. You know what I mean? We used to call it parking lot pimping, where I would take the sales team out and we would just go hit parking lots, running up to people with guest passes, talk, hey, where are you working out at? Like we would have like gym bottles thrown around, like we were nuts. Like it was like, and it was a part of the culture of LA Fitness. That's these guys came in and
so
they're
you
like,
almost took the culture out into the world.
Yeah. We brought it out, and we would be out in the field, like out in parking lots, and people would be like, you guys are crazy. But they remembered us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was really part of the LA Fitness culture. And in what Kurt's doing, they go out to get it.
Yep.
They take it out.
I actually kind of like that you just quit without anything, with no backup plan. Nothing else lined up,
none.
And that can go one of 2 ways, man. I mean, some people, they just quit because they fly off the handle. It's not because they
Value themselves.
Yeah, it's not
They
because
get upset.
right?
And they're not thinking logically.
Right, they're just kind of fly off the handle. But you're like, this doesn't work for me. You stand for something. These other people, they don't stand for something. They just fly off the handle. They quit, right? But you're like, this doesn't work for me, man. I value myself. I know I deserve better. And so you have the. I guess the toughness to just take that leap of faith, like something better is out there for.
And they came back with an extra $50,000. So they were like, immediately, they were like, we'll give you an extra 50 grand salary.
But
like,
it still wasn't enough.
No, I stayed. And then at that point,
that's good.
Then at that point, I'm just like, okay, now I got to put a game plan together.
Yeah.
And then at this point.
So from there, you were like, okay, anything can happen at any time. I don't have 100% control over this. So let's take the extra 50 and let's start building an exit strategy.
So at that time, my wife graduated from her nursing degree.
Okay.
She started to play with aesthetics, and it all kind of happened at once. She's coming home and she's like, this lady spent like $2,000 on her face. And I'm just like, this lady spent $4,000 on her face. This lady spent $3,000 on her face. And I'm numbers. I'm like, you mean
what's the product cost?
Yeah, that was the first question. What's how much does it cost?
$5 and then charge $400.
She comes home and she was like, we did like 25 grand in sales today. This is when she was like doing an apprenticeship. I'm like, we got to open it.
Yeah,
we got to do this. We got to own one. And she's like, no, I'm not ready. It's a 5-year plan. I said, fuck a 5-year plan. Like, we got to put this together right away. So immediately we just put the pieces of the puzzle together and
boom, boom, boom.
But it still sucked for culture, man. You're like, hey, here's 50 more grand, just stay. But you're already like, oh, I'm looking elsewhere.
You still
you're not
have
bought in anymore.
Yeah, you still have the wandering eye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you're not 100%.
You're like, this med spot looks
80,
really good.
But you're 20% flirting with what's the next move.
Right.
Right. Because
but on a and you could respect this. I wanted to leave on top.
Yeah.
Like for me,
100%.
Like I wanted to leave when everything was just.
You're one of those quarterbacks that retires after they win a Super Bowl.
I just wanted to leave saying, this is what you lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there was a little bit of like, F you, why didn't you just give me 50 grand to begin with? This conversation may have never even came up, but thank God it did. In hindsight, if it didn't, I wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
I understand that, man.
Like I really wouldn't.
No, that's cool. So you opened the meds. What year was that?
2019. We opened up the med spa.
Okay.
Started going really, really well. We had a partnership. My wife had a partnership with someone. It was Lehigh Valley Laser and Aesthetics. And then just for different reasons, it wasn't a good, just different operating frequencies.
Yeah.
And then I was like, we're going to put you in your own spot. No, we just left. We gave her the ability to either she could leave or we'll stay. You know, either one. Either you go or I go. And she was like, she'll stay. So then we just bought a commercial property. We did a build out. Now we have our own flagship location, just brick and mortar. We dropped like, some serious change in it. Looks good. It's got like all the golden gland.
Yeah.
And
is it going good for you?
It's going great.
Yeah. You guys stay pretty busy. They're obviously, $3,000 on a face, $4,000 on a face. Yeah. Margins are there.
It's great.
So it's great. He's like just daydreaming about the money coming in right now.
But what it did was, and the cool thing, and you got to understand, my wife is a powerhouse.
Yeah.
So this whole time, this was like her baby, right? And at the end of the day, the money's still getting deposited in both of our accounts, but it still was hers.
Yeah.
Right. This year, once everything kind of opened up, it was like just a blessing. She comes to me and she's just like, I need you to take over the back end. Like, just let me, I'm finding that I'm not.
Let me do the day-to-day shit. Let me interact with clients. Yeah.
Let me be the artist.
Yeah.
You handle the business. And I was like, you got to understand, when I do the business, it's going to be a certain way. We're going to run it a certain way. We're going to do it's not just keep everything in the bank. Like, we're going to start doing shit. Yeah. And then this is when we started making the investments. And this is where we're at right now, man.
So in terms of the credit repair business, the trifecta, you got partners with that, is that right?
I do.
Okay.
So that happened during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Realizing that I hooked up my two partners that we have right now.
Yeah.
We were just on some Zooms together, just kind of talking through life.
Yeah.
And then the idea came of doing a credit repair company. Once we did the credit repair company, I do, again, the back end, the culture, the website, the SEO, all of that. And they're like the actual credit specialist.
Gotcha.
So it worked out perfect.
Good.
Perfect.
Yeah. Good. And we realized people were just going to get cracked over the head, man, with loss of wages.
Oh, yeah. With COVID bills, in general.
Yeah. And that's really how it came to life. And I think that's why it's doing so well. Because it wasn't one of those things where we sat down. This is happening twice now. It wasn't like we sat down and said, okay, how much money can we make? Right. Let's figure out if we sell X amount.
What's a problem that we got to do this
to
solve, right?
Right. It was the problem. And it's just been growing 25% more month over month.
So when did you join Arte?
I was day one accelerator.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you join Arte prior to having the med spa, or was it just right around that same time?
Prior.
I was
still.
So what made you do that? Just were you following Ed and Andy and you're like, I just want to be a part of it and just see what it's about? Or what made you seek out coaching or mentoring? Did you know that you were going to go into business and you just wanted more information, or you just like?
No, I didn't know because I was still an employee when
you did it.
Arte was 2018.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep, I was still an employee. But I was in the mindset that I started thinking bigger, knowing what my worth was.
Gotcha.
Like that's really when it started to kind of come together. And I was like, well, for what it is a month to be able to be connected to these two guys. And I followed Andy for like 4 years prior to that.
Gotcha.
And I just figured, well, if these two guys are
You're just like, well, he gives good information, so
Yeah.
I need to get a little bit closer and get more back end information.
And I was a fly on the wall for the first like 2 years. Like I just watched, I observed.
I still am.
I seen you posting some videos here and there.
Yeah.
I remember. I was in Accelerator
still
for
am.
sure.
Yeah.
You have done a really good job in that group in terms of just standing out. So whatever you did the first year or two versus what you're doing now, it's obviously working. So let's talk about that. Putting yourself out there. How uncomfortable was that at first to try to record a video or start posting in some of these groups where you're in your mind, there's other people that are a higher level in that group. What type of value can you bring to a message, right? That's usually what goes through the mind of an individual that, well, these guys are already in business. They're already, some of these people are already successful, highly successful in the group. Did you ever have some of those imposter syndrome moments of trying to record content and deliver that to the group?
Huge imposter syndrome. Like on a whole other level. Like there was a point when I left LA Fitness, I didn't even know kind of who I was, and I was still in this group, right? I was watching these guys, and I'm watching people doing like really, really big things. And in my mind, even though the spa, we kind of had that kind of getting started.
To go, yeah.
It's still for 2019. It was just like, who are you? Like, what are you doing? You got no right to say something in front of this group.
Yeah.
Like, what have you done?
Yeah.
Like in my head, that's what I kept saying. But then something switched in when the pandemic hit. I went through a very deep self-development, cutting people out of my life, cutting a lot of the bullshit out in my off time that I was doing. Like
what made you reflect and do that?
I started seeing people dying.
Okay.
And for some reason, I started thinking about my funeral. And I looked at my kids and I thought, well, what did they get? Insurance check, maybe a couple bucks in the bank.
Yeah.
And at that point, I always thought I did my job. I raised two good kids. I have a 23-year-old son, United States Marine, great kid, pure as gold. Daughter's the same way. I did my job. But then it hit me like, no, you didn't do your job. Like you left them some money. What is that?
Yeah.
Like what did you really leave behind? Have you truly, because we talk about legacy, right?
Yeah.
People say legacy. It's almost like
legacy's not a big paycheck. It's not just $1 million to each one of your kids, right?
That's not a legacy.
Yeah, that's just money.
Right. And then I was like, you got work to do.
Right.
And at that point I was like, okay, first was I had these bullshit relationships in my life, disingenuous guy, people in my social setting that are like taking pictures of their checks and look at me in front of my car.
Yeah.
And that's not who we are.
Yeah.
That's not, and I think this is one of the reasons why I see and resonate with you guys.
Yeah.
Because you guys make boss moves, but it's not like, hey, I don't got to show you my bank account.
I've took a picture of it a few times, and I've wanted to. I was like, you know what? Like, why does it really even matter?
Right.
Like we've cashed some pretty big checks, and I'd take a picture of it.
Posting a picture of my paycheck would feel weirder than posting a picture or a video or whatever. Just trying to like put some
content
cool
out there.
shit out there in the internet,
like,
right? So,
I don't know,
because it is all uncomfortable, but like I don't know, that always does seem kind of douchey.
Yeah, I'm like, you douchey. That's the word, douchey. And people are like, oh, well, you should share your wins. And first off, there's nothing wrong with it. You want to show your checks.
It works to a point.
Great.
But you better be able to back it up.
Understood. Yeah. That's just not me.
Yeah.
And I had the ability. I literally called people and then I said, listen, I'm disconnecting from you. Like
you flat out said, I'm done.
I can't do this relationship no more. Not that you heard it from someone else. I'm coming right to you, man to man. I can't have this relationship no more. Right. It's no more.
Well, how were some of those calls? Were they
like, oh, you're a poor leader. You're just leaving us. How could you do this?
So they started talking shit.
And at that point, I was at the point where
it didn't even matter. It wasn't like it wasn't hurting you. It was just like, dude, I get. At that point, it's probably a lot easier with after saying something like that to somebody to realize maybe they're hurting right now and whatever they say that's coming out of their mouth is just
emotional,
out of pain, right? Where, you know, like nobody ever wants to be the one that somebody broke up with, right? And so you kind of broke up with them.
Dude, it does. You're doing a benefit to them in the long run as well, man. Like that, when they do finally grasp, like, oh shit, man, like I'm not living my best life. They're gonna remember, like, oh, that's why Brad broke up with me.
Yeah.
You know, because I've had that talk with some of my best friends, and some of them are back in my life too. You know, and some of my family members, and man, it's sometimes it's needed for them too, right? You're doing it for you, but it's still a benefit to them too to have that conversation.
Just two different people. And
so you broke up with some old homies. Now, were these people that you knew for a long period of time and you just had them in your life because they've been in your life? And so you just they just were there?
They were part of, remember I told you I had that network marketing that makes me like, you know, 80, 90 grand a year. It was guys in that group. It was the guy I wrote the book with.
Gotcha.
And again, like the guy's a millionaire, right? He serves his purpose.
Yeah.
It's just, we're two different people.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm at the point in my life where if I can't feel you and you ain't the same DNA, like I truly believe who you are as a man, as a person, I don't even want to give it any energy.
Yeah.
We're just agreed that we're not the same and we're going to move on.
Do you believe that you did that because you got a little bit more clear with yourself on what you wanted after you started doing that deep dive? And once you become a little bit more clear on who you want to become or who you are trying to be, makes it a little bit easier to make some of those tougher decisions. But if you're not clear on your vision, it's going to be a lot harder to make some of those decisions. So you went through a deep dive, you got clear on some things, and then you just started going to work and chipping away at things that weren't going to serve where you were headed.
Yeah. And something not to go off on a tangent right here.
Go off.
May 14th, I still felt like something was missing. Like there was something, I just felt like something was missing. March 9th, Andy started, 75 hard, so we were all running 75 hard.
Yeah.
I just felt like something was still off. I cut these people out of my life. I'm reading. I'm kind of just working on me and what's important.
You feel like you're doing all the right things, but something's
off.
Yeah.
And May 14th, I dropped down. My wife went in to take a shower. I dropped down on my knees and I just started praying.
Yeah.
And I never did this before. Now, mind you, I'm raised Catholic, went to Catholic school, confirmation. And I was just like, yo.
What is it?
If you're up there, man, I don't know, this sounds kind of weird.
Yeah.
They say that you're listening to me. I need some help right now. I'm fucking a little lost. And I just started to be more intentional with this walk in my faith. And I'm still walking through it. I don't want to sound like I'm this big Bible banger.
Bro, it's the same thing. I mean, me and Kel, more recently than ever.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly think once you get to a point where you're starting to elevate and you're making money and things are, and you still feel like that there's something else. There's something, because in most cases we chase money for fulfillment, and then when you start seeing the checks roll in and then the money's coming in, it's not fulfilled.
It's not.
There's something
changes.
Money can't fulfill that spiritual piece. It just can't. And I know for a fact that that's been missing in my life for many years, right? And with some of the experiences that I've had, gun to my head down in Vegas, knife to my throat, right up against my Adam's apple. I've rolled a vehicle, drinking and driving, didn't wear a seatbelt. I ended up rolling it and then smashing into a tree upside down. There was a branch that came right through the driver's side window. If I would have been wearing my seatbelt, it would have took my head right off, right? Because it was literally a leather seat. And when I went to go look at my car after the fact, there was a branch directly through the front of my headrest out to the back of the headrest.
That's
so
insane.
It penetrated. So there's all these little weird, crazy experiences that I've had where I should have probably been dead several times over with the type of life that I was, leading at that moment. And so, as I've got older and you have kids and you start making money and you're on a journey for real self-improvement when everything else is seemingly, you should be exactly where you need to be and you should be fulfilled. You should be happy. There's that other little piece that you just know something's missing. And so as of this year, that's one of my 3 non-negotiables in the morning is I drop down on my knees and I say a prayer of gratitude. I don't really ask for a whole lot because then I'm asking out of a place of scarcity. Like I don't have something. I thank him for all the abilities that I have in order to create whatever I want to create in my life. And basically just trying to create that connection, right? Because I that has been missing. And even Cal sits his kids down on Sundays, and they watch Pastor Keith at his house, and he's like, I want to start introducing my kids to something religious or spiritual, right? Because he hasn't done that. I haven't really done that either, right?
How do you feel since you've been doing this?
I feel a lot better in terms of the spiritual connection. We go through ups and downs just as entrepreneurs. Like, what's the next best move, right? Like, we're in a transition phase right now where it's scary, where we're going to be stepping down from the day-to-day operations of easier accounting. And that's a new, scary, unfamiliar thing, right? And I'm just going to try to stay consistent with it and continue to build some sort of relationship with God. And I don't want even religion to be any part of it. I don't want to go through a third party to try to have a relationship with God. But that's something that I just need to do better about. Yeah. And that's something that I've had a lot of focus and intention on this year.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you this year was the same thing.
We're all kind of like feeling that this
We're
last
all
year,
feeling that at the exact same time.
It's crazy.
I don't know if it's COVID. Maybe COVID's a blessing, and maybe it makes people a lot more spiritual and want to connect to something greater, a greater source, right?
Combination of a lot of shit,
It would sound like the shit. If I can tell you the series of events that have happened, because one of the main things every day is I pray to please put the people, places, and things in front of me to continue to be a force for good.
Yeah,
I say it every day.
Yeah, very similar conversations.
The people, the conversations, the things that have happened in the past 18 months, like we talk about making money, this is at a point where this is the most we've ever made, right? And I'm not saying that to be braggadocious. It's just a fact. And I'm not fulfilled.
Yeah,
we're not fulfilled. Like there's more to give.
Yeah,
right. And but now what happens is you start to create this relation. What I'm experiencing is I have this complete faith that, and there's a catalyst to this. You got to always do the right thing, right?
Can't ask for all this and then be out there doing some bullshit.
You got to do the right thing in every facet of your life. Like take the maliciousness, take the fake, the disingenuous, like really don't try to get over on anyone. Explain everything. This is why we talked about communication earlier. Just do the right thing all of the time. And your faith, what I found is when you do the right thing and you're really creating this relationship with God and you're driving your faith, it's almost like you're at peace.
Yeah.
That nothing is going to come in front of you, because first off, this has already been scripted.
Yeah.
This game plan, from what I'm understanding, this blueprint's already laid out. Right. It's just, are you performing at the best of your ability, doing the right thing, and living by those core principles?
I honestly think that that's where most people fuck up.
Yeah.
I think that's where most people fuck. They're chasing money or they're chasing this rather than just focusing on doing the right thing every day. Now, the right thing could mean getting up early. It could be exercising, treating people right. The right thing doesn't mean just interactions with other humans. Yes, that's part of it, but doing the right thing even for you as an individual, things that you know will ultimately serve you. And if you do that over a long enough period of time, the money aspect will just take care of itself and you'll draw it in, right?
All day.
So it's just like, we're doing the 37 miles. Just focus on the next mile. Just get that next one done, and then get the next one done. And next thing you know, you're where you were ultimately trying to go at one point. But the problem is sometimes I think we just get lost too much in the big picture, and we're not just laying that day's work down. Yeah. And you do that over a long enough period of time. I mean, I know 5, 6, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, there was times I'm like, man, is this ever going to be fucking worth it? Right? Like when you're wondering and you just get stuck making 150 or 200 grand a year, you're like, is this going to be it forever? And I'm sure that there's people listening right now that have made 50 grand a year for the last 3 years or 4 years or 80 or 100 grand. And it's just been very repetitive. You have to continue to show up. And the real game changer for us is when we really got serious on self-improvement.
Yeah.
That was the game changer, really, because it's not like we weren't showing up every single day. We were showing up every single day, but we were showing up our same self from 2 years prior. So why would the income changes if we're just showing up the same person every single day for 3 or 4 years?
Right.
The problem is we can't create new opportunities for ourselves because our perception is the exact same as the perception that we had 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
If you're not growing, then your perception's not growing. If your perception's not growing, then you don't see opportunities. And there's opportunities even in negative situations. And if your perception isn't in the right in the right focus, then you won't see all those opportunities. You're just going to see a negative situation and bitch about it.
That's right.
But what you said though, man, like you have to do the right thing. You have to. That's like such a game changer for me. And like honestly, Andy was saying it best too when we were in our take, because it's true, man. It's like even down to the littlest thing, like littering, right? Like Before I was the type of person to just be like, oh, I don't give a shit, or I don't want that trash in my car. I just want to throw it out the window, and like I don't want to clean it up in my car later. You know, it's like kind of piece of shit little things like that didn't really mean anything. But as you start evolving as a person, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna put this trash in my pocket and throw it away later in the trash because it's kind of just a shitty person thing to go throw your trash out on the fucking road. You know what I mean?
It's true. I did the same thing.
Those
I put it in my
little
pocket.
tiny things, man, you do all over and over and over again. It just becomes who you are. Now you're returning the cart to the cart receptacle. You're freaking, you're not littering. You do. You start becoming that person of like, well, dude, it's just the right thing to do, and you fucking do it.
Right.
And then that's when shit starts to change.
Maybe you just become a little bit more hyper aware.
Yeah.
When you're doing self-improvement,
you're
right?
intending to become a better person.
Yeah, but God is a big part of it, man.
Yeah,
it really is. And like people are like universe, whatever. I believe in God personally, so like I pray to God, dude. And like for me, I was like, dude, at the end of the day, like I feel like I failed as a father. I had a hard talk with my 20-year-old son. I'm like, dude, here's the thing. I fucked up. I thought I was being a great dad because that's important to me. Mm-hmm. Since I was 18 years old, I had him. I wanted to be a great dad, and I realized I haven't been that great, man, because I didn't give you an opportunity to connect with God at all. I failed there, right? So that's one area
You didn't do the introduction.
I've been trying to be a better influence to him as a 20-year-old, and then I'm like, I still got a chance with all the way down to my 1-year-old. I got a 20-year-old all the way down to a 1-year-old. So I'm like, man, I just got to be better for them, dude. You know what I mean?
20 and 1.
Yeah. So shit, dude. That's cool though.
He spans across a few decades, bro. Yeah. He planted his seed for 2 decades straight.
I was like praying for God, give me another chance. He's like, here's a baby.
More.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What did I do? Here, try again. Have another one. Here's your last one. Don't bug it up. Yeah. You know. So
kids are all great kids, but man, it's like, man, that shit's bigger than money. You know what I mean? And so, getting down on your knees, praying, dude, just realizing like, fuck, we're so small in this world. There is something bigger than us. Is super important, man. Yeah. I'm glad we went there. That was really good.
I'm like you.
Thanks for sharing that. No, we appreciate that.
I shouldn't be here. Like I think about it. Like I OD'd 2 times. Was shot at. Multiple times. Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like you did some dumb shit. Like
as you start getting older, you look back at all the dumb shit and you're like, fuck, why am I here?
Why am I here? And then there's
there's been other fucking people that have done dumb shit and they're not here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I buried a friend. We were doing the same exact shit, right?
But you're here.
And I'm here.
You're here.
Like why?
Well, look at, I mean.
You know what I mean? And so.
You guys do the right thing. Look at I see like when I walk through the office and you guys can't see this, but you see people like there's a buzz. That's like the fruit of your labor right there. Like that's where the purpose comes in. This is where it's bigger than the money. You're creating opportunities. You're changing young men and women's lives.
That's really where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Like when we make business decisions, this is not even necessarily about how much more money can we make and line our pockets. It's like, how can we grow this thing so fucking big that there's opportunities for a lot of fucking people to do really, really well in our company where it's life-changing and it's impactful, and then it impacts their fucking kids because their kids get to live a little bit different because the opportunity that they got, because we were not necessarily thinking about, oh, well, instead of making 7 figures, how can we make 8 figures personally? No, it's like we already know. Again, sometimes people put the cart before the horse, right? They're only thinking about themselves, but we already know for a fact that if we create millionaires within our company, that means our company's doing something fucking big. Guess what? By default, guess who also gets to benefit from that? We do.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're in business and the only thing you're thinking about is yourself, maybe it's a little bit harder to stay motivated because you're okay with your situation. Sometimes you got to make it a little bit bigger than yourself. In some cases, we show up for other people more so than we show up for our fucking self. Yeah. You tell me you're going to meet me at the fucking gym at 5 a.m., I'm not going to fucking let you down. I'll be there. Motherfucker tells you or tells somebody else, I tell you I'm going to be at the gym at 5 a.m., but I wake up the next morning and don't feel like fucking going. It's a lot easier to not go.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys go today?
I didn't go yet.
No, he just flew in. But that's what I'm saying in general. I would have
been there at 5 a.m.
Yeah, no. But what I'm using it as an example. I'll bitch out on myself easier than I would bitch out on Brad if I know Brad is going to be there waiting for me, wondering what the fuck, where's Trevor at? So in that case, I'm showing up so that I don't disappoint Brad. And that's why some people do better in the gym environment when they have a workout partner. Both of them are showing up kind of for each other more so than they're showing up for themselves. It's like an accountability partner, right? And so that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes we show up more so for other people than we show up for ourselves. And so if you make your business about other people, whether it's the customers, whether it's your employees, you're going to probably do a lot better job of showing up, and you're going to have a lot better work environment because people know that you actually fucking care about their well-being, not just, it's another butt in the seat or another grunt worker out fucking digging trenches, right? That's a person, right? And so we take a lot of pride in trying to create opportunities for our people, and that's really where we're at. Initially, when you're young, it's just about you just trying to get out of the situation that you're in. And then when money starts coming in, you're like, okay, these people have been rolling with me. Yeah. Like, what can we do to give back to them? We need to, and that's one of the reasons why we want to step down from day to day is we want to give people that have been with us for years and years and years an opportunity to step up into a leadership role where they have the ability to make a lot more money. And if we stay in that role, then we're ultimately holding that back from them, right? And that's how we look at it. But it's still a difficult fucking thing to do, to hand off your baby to somebody else, right?
Huge.
But, that's what we plan on doing by the end of the year so that we can start doing real business owners fucking coaching shit and master our own events and stuff. We want to connect with all these people that have been sending messages over the last 2 years, asking when our first event's going to be or when we're going to do coaching. We're just like, no.
Sign me up first. I'll be the first. I'll put it out there, podcast
there you go.
land. Yeah. I will be the first person on that list.
Well,
I'll pay for my ticket now.
We have a waiting list. Nobody's on it. I think we'll put you on it. So we got one. No, I'm just kidding.
But real quick, to go back what you said about sometimes you do things
more for other people
than you do for yourself.
Yeah,
that's leadership, though. Like that's an important. That's one thing in terms of most people, and especially CEOs, do as I say, not as I do. It's that accountability to serve those others, but I'm going to back it by doing what I said I was going to do. You need me here, I'll be there.
Yeah, right.
We're going to do this, we're going to do that. Like being a man of your words on top of it, just serves that whole leadership mantle 10 times better. Like do what you say you're going to do.
Right. What's one habit that you have that you would contribute a lot of your success to? Has there been a habit that you've adopted within the last 2 or 3 years that's different than who you were at LA Fitness?
I'll tell you right now. I love Andy and Ed.
Yeah.
There are guys, right?
Yeah.
What started this whole personal development off, and when I left Vegas, I just stopped by Brad Lee's office. So I watched a Brad Lee video. He did something for Ed's group, like in the Miliari group, and I got to watch the video, and he broke down this $1 Million Morning about, and for whatever reason,
I saw part of it.
Did you see? Yeah. And Brad, whatever he said, I felt it.
Well, what he says is
text 5 people. Keep your fitness, your money-making activities, but start with 10 little wins a day.
Yeah.
But he starts with, if I gave you $1 million, you'd be pretty happy right now.
That was the one.
But why are you not totally stoked that you even woke up today? Because that's worth more than $1 million.
Correct.
Well, what he said,
and that was a really good video.
But what if I told you?
He articulates very
yeah,
well.
he does. So what he says is, would you be happy if I gave you $1 million right now? Yes. But what if I told you couldn't wake up tomorrow? Would you still do it?
Right.
No. So what you're telling me is the fact that you got to wake up tomorrow morning's worth more than $1 million, and yet you're not happy.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That's the video that I saw.
That was the first, but the big thing, and this is good for a lot of people.
Yeah.
He said the first thing you got to do is forgive yourself. He goes, your brain is a supercomputer. It records every time, and I'm just going to use fitness because I'm a fitness guy. I'm going to go to the gym and I don't show up. Right. I'm going to go to the gym. I don't show up. I'm going to go on a diet. I don't stick to my diet. Every time that you constantly say you're going to do something and you don't do it, it records something in your brain that says loser.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then this is where you start.
You're solidifying. Yeah. You're solidifying the fact that you're an individual that doesn't follow through. And then when you actually really want to do something, your brain's going to work 10 times harder against you because it knows that you're a person that doesn't follow through because it's a record of the past.
There's no unrecording it. It's
100%,
there.
Man.
He said, so start with these little wins. And I did it. March 9th, I started doing 10 little wins. And they were stupid wins, like just 10 little things that I said, yes, I did. So this is what calcified my morning ritual. So my morning ritual, hands down, unquestionable, First thing that I do when I get up, let the dogs out. I have my time.
So you're the one that let the dogs out this whole time?
That was me.
People have been asking who let the dogs out for fucking like 2 decades now.
Modrich,
Brad, we're fucking,
Now
we
we
answer
know.
all the questions on this show. If you have questions that you don't have an answer to, we'll find it eventually.
Exactly.
That's great.
Brad lets the dogs out.
So let the dogs out, and I do this morning routine. I'll text 5 people, and I'm sure you've gotten a text over time. Hey, appreciate you. Thanks for being in my life.
Yeah.
You know, anything you need, I'm here for you. I just keep those relationships. And then I go into serious just gratitude, like really what am I grateful for? And sometimes people say that they do it, but I think where the real connection comes from is really putting feeling into what you're grateful for.
Right.
I've heard
Like
that too.
really like
Try to feel like
Intentional.
yeah.
Right.
So I talked to a lady down in Dallas that just got back from a Joe Dispenza.
Joe Dispenza.
Got from like the whole quantum physics shit. Like
Dude,
she
you
was there
gotta
for a 5-day fucking retreat.
You got to take his online course and pass it before you can even go to that. They're not that expensive. You have to pass
It was
the
like
course.
$5,500
Because
for
I
like
looked
a 5-day
into it.
thing.
You can go to Tel Aviv. You can go
Yeah.
to Sonoma,
Did you read his
Arizona.
book?
Like, yeah, I've read his books.
Breaking
But here's the
Habit.
thing: like, you've got to be able to show up and keep up. So he doesn't want people just showing up that can't keep up. So
Yeah.
you have to pass like his 7-week course first.
Wow.
But she was saying
Pretty
the
dope,
same
though.
thing. She goes, the problem with like even quantum physics or gratitude or whatever is people just say something like, I am grateful for, I am da-da-da-da-da,
Yeah.
and there's nothing except for just words.
Right.
Right? It's just hollow.
Right.
Right? And she says, like, what's something that you're frustrated with right now? And I said, my pilot's license. The FAA keeps throwing a fucking another curveball. She's like, so you can collapse time with quantum physics or in the quantum field. Collapse time. You know, so she's starting to go off on all this shit because she's literally fresh off of this fucking 5-day
Right.
retreat, bro, with Joe Dispenza. And she's like, just sit there and think about what it feels like the day that you get it. You know, like she's like, you need to sit with that feeling and you can start collapsing time.
Which he
And
talked about with
and that's
us
exactly what you're talking about with
he
gratitude.
talked about that with us in Coeur d'Alene.
Dude, he was
Dispenza was down there?
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but he was like spitting up. It was like a fire hose of information, and it was impressive. The guy's just dude. He's an amazing dude. Like we went up and met him, super dude, just one of the best, right? But it was like a fire hose of
Bro, he
information.
knows
but
it
I
all
remember that
so
part.
well that he's just going like 100 miles an hour, and we're like, his talk. I had more notes than anybody. I'm like just trying to keep up. He was going so fucking fast.
Yeah.
But for him, it's nothing. This is just he knows all this shit. This is all new to us. So we're like, holy shit, that's over my head. That's over my. I need to write this down so I can like reflect back.
So
on
you
it
understand
later.
this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So here, now take this. Let's go back to God real quick.
Yeah.
When you're having that prayer, it's the same thing. This is where you create that intention and you
Exactly.
create this feeling. Once you create this feeling, like you know, this is how I picture it. Imagine if you said you got to go into battle. You got to go fight this guy who's 6'6", 270.
That's
you got to
nothing.
go fight him.
Make him bigger.
Right?
That's nothing.
8 foot, right? You're going to go whoop this dude's ass.
Yeah.
Like, you got to fight him.
Yeah.
Most people would be like, oh my God, like this dude's going to murder me, right? This thing's going to crush me.
Yeah.
But imagine if I said now, you got a 6'6" guy over there, but I have an 800-pound silverback gorilla on your side for when you get to the fight just in case. You'd be like, yo, I got this.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
When you have that connection and you really start to feel like your faith that you got this guy behind you who's going to protect you no matter what because you're doing the right thing, you're following by the word, and you really create this emotion from it, it changes. Like it changes you. There's unquestionable and call it, you know, some people say I got saved, I did this. I don't know. All I know is I feel different and there's a different vibration.
Have you ever read Psycho-Cybernetics? It's a kind of a trippy book, and it doesn't go into it like.
Is it a brain book?
Yeah, but it's also about. It's a lot of things, right? It's about the one that he's a surgeon and he's a plastic surgeon. He kept noticing that all these people, man, they come in, they want a better nose or something, right? And then he give them a better nose, and it was like everything they hoped for would come back and heal up, and they still think they're ugly, right? So he just started doing all this crazy research, and he became a therapist, and you know, on top of being a surgeon, and he writes this book, and one thing that kind of correlates with what we're talking about right now is he writes about how your brain is like a torpedo, right? He's like, listen, like a torpedo has a target, and when you can connect to like that real feeling, like what Ed talks about, like, man, imagine like the way that the handle feels on your jet when you're latching it down or you're walking up them steps and you like really connect with that feeling, what you're doing is you're sending a signal to your brain that's going to move your body, your reality to that goal like a torpedo is to its target. Like, because, dude, the torpedo is built to where if its target moves, the torpedo moves and it still goes towards that target, right? And so it's like, that's basically what he writes about in the book, and it connects exactly with what we're correlating here, like God and Joe Dispenza and collapsing time and the quantum physics. It's like when you really connect that feeling and you feel like what it feels like to hit that goal or hit that target in your life, like your brain naturally starts moving towards it because it's a real goal now. It's not just fucking words. Right. And that's what that book's basically about.
And you got to put work into it. It's just like any other muscle. You got to work it. 100%. You got to work it.
Well, I think if you just say it, it's just, again, just words. But when you feel it, you know what it feels like.
It hits you different.
It hits you a little bit different. It becomes a little bit more real when you add the feeling to it. Right? If I tell you something's fucking ice cold versus grabbing your hand and putting you on something it's going to feel different versus you picturing something my hand is freezing right now and bringing that into reality. Again, collapsing it, making it a little bit more real. And I think that's the disconnect with, hey, be grateful, have gratitude. Nobody's really talking about connecting deep with the feeling of gratitude versus just saying, I'm grateful for my house, my truck, my kids, my business, employees, just rushing through it.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it. So I'm not over here.
I write my
on
gratitude
a
down
pulpit.
every day because it's my routine, but some days it's less, deep,
intentional.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Less intentional.
To just check it off the list.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, what's that one thing? It's my morning routine. Yeah. My morning routine is just leave me alone. I'm focused on it. And then I go to the gym. I eat. I go to the gym.
How long have you had that morning routine? A year and a half?
Since March 9th of last year.
And you've done it every day. There's probably been a day or two where you're traveling or whatever.
Correct.
Could you feel how off you are the days that you don't do your morning routine?
Yes, big time. Only for the simple fact that I feel stressed. I feel like there's a little bit more anxiety. You know what I mean? Like
me too. That's why I'm asking that, because I'm very, very strategic about 3 things that I do every single morning, like waking up at a certain time, going to the gym at a certain time, saying my prayer of gratitude, doing my meditation. Those things are ironclad. That's just what I do every single day. But there is times where I have to travel or this or that, and it just doesn't happen. And the whole fucking day is off, bro.
Right.
It's like just everything's a little bit more fuzzy. I'm just not clear. I'm just not alert, and I'm a little bit more grumpy, a little bit more aggressive. Fuck,
sometimes
I don't care. I don't care. Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Why did you miss today? Like, are you kidding me?
Exactly. So I do think it's important for people to realize the power. Again, we've talked about the power of habits and the power of routines. And it's just a pain in the ass initially to get them going because you just don't feel a whole lot of results in the first fucking week or 2 weeks. And you're just like, fuck, why am I doing, I want this to work, right? So usually if you're in a low and you're starting something new, it's very hard to stay disciplined for that first 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or whatever it is. But just with anything else, it takes fucking time and it takes consistency in order to see a result. Now you've been doing it for a year and a half and you're probably head and shoulders above where you were 18 months ago in terms of the type of intention that you have, because now you see the value of everything that you're doing. And people, when they actually see the value of something, they actually work harder towards it, right?
Not only am I night and day different, my family's night and day different, my business is night and day different, my relationships are night and day different. It's like the best analogy is I make sure I put that mask on before I can save anybody else. Same thing they tell you on the air, get on the airplane. Put your mask on first when shit's going downhill. Yeah. If I don't put my mask on first and make sure I'm right, and again, real business owners, so many times business owners, they miss this part.
Right.
They miss this morning, just taking 30 minutes, wake up 30 more minutes.
Yeah.
I promise you, and you stay committed and your intention set when you do this, I promise you, in 12 months from now, you'll be a completely different person.
Guaranteed.
Unquestionable.
I wish I had what I felt like were the right words to let people understand how important some of the shit is that we're talking about. Some people, I think, just listen to it for a feel good, like, okay, cool, they're looking for a good idea for their business.
Well, they think listening is productive, right? But at some point,
you have to take you have to take action. Like, and the reason why I ask some of these things, and some of them are repetitive. I ask other guests some of the same things. Why? Because I want people to understand what high performers are doing in the world. Yeah. And that we're not just saying it just to say it because we read it somewhere.
Right.
This shit fucking works, and it's not uncommon if you find a high performer that they have a set of habits or routines that they follow on a day-to-day basis in order to control the state that they're in going into that day. And I think business owners are doing a terrible job of taking care of number one. Taking care of themselves. And they fucking, it's easier to get burnt out that way when you're not taking care of yourself. I know when I'm not, it's easier for me to just say, fuck it. Like just not give a fuck, right? So the next question was, how impactful has coaching and mentoring actually been to you in your life personally and business? But I think you kind of answered that.
I recommend everyone take, and this year I was intentional to spend more on personal development. Like, we did great last year. I looked at it. I want to invest more. So I'm going to start working with Ben and his team.
Okay. A lot of guys in RTA are working with Ben, bro. A lot.
It just feels, and he's super faith driven, and it just hits a little different. And for me, so a couple things I did. Obviously, watching guys like you, and just for everyone who's watching this, I'm no super brain. I just ran the play. Like there's nothing. I didn't do nothing special besides listen and take all this information from all these great people, the Eds, the Jockos, the Andys, all these people. We all speak the same kind of language. But just run the play.
You just implemented the shit.
Just take action. And even if it's not perfect, stop trying to make it look picture perfect.
Yeah.
Like I'm still absolute walking progress. Like I'm learning shit every day. I had to learn the accounting, right? When I called you guys in the beginning of the year, I had to learn how to do QuickBooks. That was something I had to do, right? But just intentionally getting better. Just take it just like how you did your walk. Put one foot in front of the other. Mile after mile.
It was a run, bro.
I'm sorry, run.
I did walk some of it.
Right.
What do you say about group coaching versus one-on-one? Has Ben one-on-one? Have you started with him yet?
I'm starting with the group first.
Yeah.
One-on-one, he's not taking on any clients. But group coaching, and again, what do you get out of it?
Right.
There's guys that go on RTA that don't watch any of the videos. I talked to like 3 dudes. They're like, oh, man, I haven't gotten on. Why spend the money if you're not going to use it? So for me, there's been 3 things. Obviously, Arte, that's number 1. Those are my guys. I'm completely committed to the syndicate. I'm completely committed to building that and creating better entrepreneurs.
Being a part of the community there.
Number 2, the probably biggest unspoke about thing, Jocko does Echelon Front.
Yeah.
$49 a month.
Right.
3 Zooms a week with Jocko and his team. Live Zooms.
How do you like JP?
Oh, he's awesome.
I hit him up to come speak our coming event. He's like, dude, I'd love to. And he said he would, but he's like, when's the date? And then it didn't work out. But
He's amazing.
I wanted to come do
weekend.
some leadership training.
Yeah.
But like you can go into these Zooms, and if you have a question, they answer it live. You get to talk to Jocko.
Yeah.
They put you on a Zoom. Hey, what's your problem? What's going on with your business? You talk it out. And it's all, and for me, I'm a Marine. I don't know if you knew, I was in the Marines. I understand that language. So when they're speaking about how they ran a mission, it just hits me different.
Yeah.
So Syndicate, Jocko.
You feel it to your core.
Dude, his book's so good. That's probably one of my favorite reads. At least, dude. Yeah. No, dichotomy of leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, I've read both, but like for some reason, the dichotomy of leadership with the stories and then how they correlate in leadership, I was like, man, I didn't want to end. I've never read a book where I'm like, I don't want it to end. Usually I'm like, I want to get through it and finish it, right? Mm-hmm. This one was like, I didn't want it to end.
Yeah, did you ever listen to the audio and read the book at the same time?
No, I'm doing that right now with a different book, though.
Do it with Jocko's because you hear Jocko's voice.
Yeah.
So when he says, it was the Battle of Ramadi, and we're coming in deep. Like you hear this voice, and you're
you're
like yourself.
You're starting to be there. You're like,
you got your M16 sitting there, and you're ready to just like light shit up. It's good, but it just hits a little different when you hear him kind of.
I was wondering how many people do that because I kind of came up on it by myself. For me, I was like, this next book I'm gonna do audio and read it just to kind of see how it hits. And I'm reading a totally different book right now. It's Chat Holmes' book, but.
I did it first with the Spenzesberg.
Did you?
Because it was such a hard read.
That's a good idea with
it. It was a hard read, and it was like these big words, and I had to hear it and read it and kind of
try to piece it together.
Yeah, and it works. Yeah. I learned it.
I think it works too, man. I'm only like 5 chapters in doing it on this book.
Yeah. What? I mean, I was going to ask, what's something that's negative that's happened in hindsight was actually positive long term? I mean, I think I kind of already know the answer with the whole LA Fitness thing, right? Because they cut commissions. That's a dagger to the heart, right? Like you're giving, 100% day in, day out, and you want appreciation, recognition, just as any human does, right? And when you cut pay, it doesn't feel like you're appreciated or recognized at all. It's kind of probably felt like a negative moment in your life, but without that negative moment, you wouldn't be where you are right now. That's right.
Two things. Getting locked up was definitely the best thing that ever happened to me.
What, just getting you removed from the lifestyle?
Pulled out, yeah. Best thing that ever happened.
Steven said the same thing.
Best thing. Hands down.
I don't know if it's his best thing, but he said he had the same benefit.
And at that point, I was like, when I got busted, just knowing how I grew up, no dad, mom, had issues, whatever. It was when I got locked up, it was like, this was meant to be. Like in my mind, like
you were at peace with it.
Yeah, this is what, a guy who deals drugs and does illegal shit all the time. This was me earning my stripe.
Yeah.
I got locked up.
You were a part of that life.
You broke your cherry, right?
Yeah.
So I get locked up. Make a super long story short, was in the hole for like almost the first year. And I get out, they put me onto the compound. I hear, inmate Modrich report to the lieutenant's office. They locked me up in the hole because I went to school and grew up with one of the COs. So I had to sit in holding for like 12 months, which holding at this, where I was at, was the hole.
Yeah.
The hole is an 8x4 room with a steel bed.
And a shitter.
Inch shitter, and that's it.
I've been in it.
Yeah, you've been in the hole.
Only one day, though.
No, I did 12 months. Going crazy. Talk about what goes through your head.
Yeah.
I get out on the compound, and the first thing, for some reason, I had to have a cigarette. I was like, I need a cigarette. Went out on the smoking deck. I'm sitting there smoking a cigarette. There was this guy sitting next to me. He was all jailhouse tatted up, looked beat. And he looked at me. He was like, so is this what you're going to do for the rest of your life, kid? And it was like someone took I'm like, fuck no. I flicked my cigarette, went up to the admin office, enrolled for my GED, took marketing classes. And then for like the next 3.5 years, that's all I did was just focused on not being that piece of shit who was going to spend the rest of his life in prison. Like that was the
that was your wake up call.
You were in there for a minute, dude.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
4 years.
Wow.
4 years?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Best thing that ever happened, man.
Yeah.
Unquestionable.
So you think everyone should do a little time?
Just don't do illegal shit.
So what he's trying to say is, if you're lost in life, go deal drugs. Go do 4 years. It'll be the best thing that ever happened to you.
That, and then
I was going to ask what advice you have for young entrepreneurs, and I think we just found we found out what that was.
There's most that don't make it out like Brad did.
Yeah,
right?
no, that's true.
That's not the best path.
It's true, because when you eat, like a lot of people, they're in and out. Like when you were in there for 4 years, you probably met people that it was their second time in or their third time in. And some of them talk about they can't wait to get out to go get high. Like when I was in jail, like I couldn't believe some of these guys were in there for 1.5 years or 2 years. And the only thing that they would talk about is they're almost going to get out so that they can go, man, I can't wait till I load one. And I'm just like, what? Look at your environment right now. Yeah, you loading that up.
This isn't normal.
This isn't.
No.
But a lot to them, it is. That's just the way that they live. They get out and they're out for 6 months or a year, back in for 3 to 5 years, over and over and over. And I think some of them, they just get so used to it that because it's familiar.
But this is what's wrong with the prison system. There should be,
an exit strategy.
There should be something that they're doing to like get people engaged, especially on an exit strategy when you're coming up. Because if there was guys that were there down for 20 years. That's all they knew.
Yeah.
Getting out was scary for them.
Yeah.
Right.
So like internally, they thought like this was normal life.
Bro, I work when we worked at that call center originally when we first met. There was a dude that Robert brought in. It was one of his buddies. He was a redhead dude, just shaved head, all tatted up, all that. And I think he did like 10 or 15 years or something, and he was coming to try to work and do sales, and he was trying to do good. 3 or 4 months later, he literally purposely went and robbed a bank and ran from the police because he couldn't handle it out here.
He's like, I want to go back.
He wanted to go back.
We met a couple of those guys.
Never.
And it's just so crazy to me. But that shows you how powerful the mind is when it comes to, I would rather have familiar, even if that familiar is negative.
Yeah.
Rather than being out in the world that's completely unfamiliar and uncomfortable. They're more comfortable in jail, and we're all thinking that they're crazy, but that's just the power of the mind,
100%.
right? And your mind will, let's go back to what we know.
That's what we know.
That's what we know, and what we know, we're comfortable with, even if it's negative. At least we know, right? Rather than who knows what the fuck's going to happen? Where am I going to work? Where am I going to live? What am I going to eat? What am I going to, there's so many questions when you get out. There's not many questions when you're in. It's like, we already know what time you're going to wake up and eat breakfast. Every fucking morning at 4:30, that horn will come on in. It's like 4:30 is breakfast time. Everything's structured. You don't got to think about a thing. You already know when everything's going to happen. When you get a break, when you get to eat, when fucking lights go out,
when you hit
all that shit.
Right?
You have your own routines that's in there.
There's routines
that are created for you.
Routines.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what's on the horizon for Brad in terms of like the next 3 to 5 years? What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? And it doesn't necessarily even need to be business wise.
No, I'm dialed in right now.
Yeah.
So I'm getting back in the fitness industry.
Okay.
I'm going to build a gym specifically for independent trainers.
Okay.
And I'm going to teach them how to build a 6-figure year income.
Okay.
Using my facility. So I'm going to build anywhere from like a 12 to 15,000 square foot facility. I'm going to put my podcast studio in there. I'm going to make my headquarters there. We're going to put a First Form retail store in it. It's going to be a cross between conventional bodybuilding, sports specific, functional training. We're going to do some boxing. And then the game plan is we're going to go out, and if you're a Joe trainer and you're training at LA Fitness or Planet Fitness, wherever, you're going to pay me, and I'm going to teach you not only how to do an evaluation, how to do a PT session, how to sell your package, how to get certified, how to continue to
maybe even the pricing, right? Pricing of your package, everything.
I'm going to put everything together. Then we're also going to have a media team that's just there capturing content all day while you're training. So it's really going to be, and
that's cool because it can help their social media too and help them get more clients.
They need it, and then I'm going to teach them how to do an online program. So this
is cool. I can't wait to come out.
A huge
We're
part
going to get on
of
your podcast.
It's going to be
great.
great.
Gym, bro.
Conquer Your Conflict, man. Conquer Your Conflict podcast.
Oh yeah, you already got a locked down name and everything.
When are you going to launch that son of a bitch?
I got to get this structure first, and then I don't have any timelines on it.
No.
So this is all kind of like on the vision board. It's all written down.
Do you have a timeline for when you want to open the gym? Like within the next 12 months or 6 months or what's the...
So we're going to break ground by March of next year.
Okay.
And then we're going to have it open. I'm going to try to do my best to have it open before Summer Smash of 2022.
Gotcha.
And this is going to be something that huge. We talked about earlier about how Jeff said at Everbowl.
Yeah.
The purpose behind it was he wasn't trying to make money. He was trying to, help people. I'm at the point right now, we're making money off the med spa. We're making money off of credit repair.
This is a passion project.
This is a 100% passion project.
You just enjoy fitness.
And in addition, it's going to support the Legionnaire program for First Form.
Nice.
This is going to be like my thank you to Andy and First Form and Sal and Chris and Jason and all those guys at headquarters that have done nothing but just
pour into
me. Yeah. I'm going to create this infrastructure that really, we'll do Legionnaire conferences. We'll do anything that I can do to help support the brand of First Form, just because I know what it's done for me since 2015. And on top of it, we're going to have this little division that is going to help people just getting out of prison. I'm going to create a path that helps convicted felons get their jump start. I'm going to teach them how to get certified.
In the personal training.
Yeah. So that's going to be...
You don't even need to do that, bro. They'll just have people doing burpees for an hour. Like push-ups, burpees, and pull-ups.
All day.
Yeah,
don't forget about dips.
Yeah, you don't even... If that's who you're going to hire, bro, don't even get weights in there, bro. Just get benches and chairs and pull-up bars, bro. They'll whip people into shape.
They sure will.
They might ask for where the cot in the toilet is, though. They're like, yo, is this where I'm staying?
Yeah.
Where's my room?
Time's lights out.
Yeah, exactly. When am I getting out of here? What's
So we're gonna have a whole recovery.
Good for you, man.
I grabbed some of the athletes, some of the top guys, and I said, what would you do if you were building a gym? So I'm getting some feedback from some of the people who I respect the hell out of that are athletes with First Form. And it's going to work, man. It's going to, there's just the people, places, and things are just coming together. When we were out in California, we put together the investment to get the $1 million to fund it. So everything's just coming together, man.
What about your med spa? Do you plan on having a second location eventually? Because we know people that have med spa type stuff and they try to second, third, fourth, fifth, because it's a good moneymaker.
Yeah. We talked about it. The problem with med spas, though, is the injector because all we do is injectables. Like we're not doing like chemical peels and topical stuff. The injector is like the artist. So like my wife, she's like the Ed Milet of lips.
Gotcha.
So to speak. Like she's a beast. And that you can't duplicate that. It's something that art, it's just you can't duplicate it. You can get close, and where she's at, because she wants to make sure she does it the right way. Like my wife is such a textbook person, like precision.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to the faces, is why she does so good with aesthetics. She's not ready for that yet. Very like, who am I going to put the Jan name on? Because the name of our spa is just Aesthetic Nursing.
Okay.
And the abbreviations is JAN, and that's my wife's name, Jan.
Okay,
so we put her name up in
there
lights.
You go.
So little kind of play on words, but to answer your question, it's not right now because she wants to make sure that the injectors that she does have.
She's going to have somebody work underneath her for a period of time, just watching her.
Yeah.
And,
That's what she's doing.
Kind of internish underneath her for a potential second location, right? I'm sure some people would be willing to get paid less to work underneath her for the opportunity to run a location at one point, right? And maybe have a little bit of ownership or something. And
she's a nurse, so she's. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It takes a lot of faith and trust, right? That's kind of what we're going through right now, and these are people that we do trust and that we do know, but it's still a tough to have your name on something, but not necessarily be part of the day to day. Because when your name's on it, you don't want something to get fucked up. Even if it wasn't you that fucked it up, it's still your business. It's people still say, "Oh, these are Trevor and Cal," right? So even if we're not here on a day-to-day basis, if something fucks up, they're gonna be like, "Dude, Trevor and Cal," right? And so I can see where she's coming from, but obviously at one point she'll have to, get a little bit more confidence to.
Yeah. And she's growing.
Give those keys to somebody else.
She's growing. This was a 5-year plan we did it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you've been crushing it. You've been crushing it. How's the dynamic in terms of, business and personal relationship with a spouse? Is that a pretty tough dynamic in business?
It is.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, she left the stay-at-home mom role.
Yeah.
And she wasn't really stay-at-home. She was kind of doing her thing. She was working. But she took over she did everything in the house. Because when I was at LA, I was working 70 hours a week sometimes. Doing overnight. She literally did everything. From cut grass to... And when it's constant battle in our house. So when it changed, now I get to sit at home. My office is at home. All of that fell on me. And I'm just like, well, I would much rather spend $140 a week and have someone clean the house. So I could take that 2 hours and I could focus on making more money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is where we kind of... Like, I see the value in my time. She sees the value in the money. And I'm just like, well, right now we have the money. So let me try to make more money with that.
Yeah.
She's
there's a little bit of a disconnect there.
And I'm not talking shit on my wife.
No.
She's very transactional, where I'm thinking investment, right? Like I'm thinking.
Looking at the cost versus the value.
That's right.
Like why would we spend $100 a week for this when we can just do it ourselves?
Right. And for me.
Well, there's a lot of things we could do ourselves. We can change our own fucking oil in our cars too.
And we don't.
I don't want to do it.
Right.
I can change my own go buy tires for cheaper and put them. I don't want to do that shit.
I'm going to use
that. There's a lot of things that we can do ourselves. Like, we can cut our own fucking hair. Wouldn't look as good, but we could do it. There's a lot of things. We can make our own fucking food. Look how many restaurants are available.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we could do ourselves, but does it make sense? Yeah. That's the real question, right?
It's good. We're good. I mean, we're just like any other married couple.
So you argue all the time, bicker, hug, kiss, love on each other, bicker a little bit, hug, kiss.
Always.
That's a marriage. Cycle. Yeah. If you're married and listening, you know what we're talking
19
about.
Years, man.
You give some battles to them. You put your foot down and say, this one's. I'm going to win this one. So it's a give and take, bro. So. But how do people connect with you, man, if they want to reach out to you and just jam with you for a minute? Or
easiest way is Instagram. Everything is Brad Modrich, BradModrich. Website, Brad Modrich. Facebook, Brad Modrich. LinkedIn, Brad Modrich. Instagram, Brad Modrich.
Again, we'll put all that stuff in the show notes. Appreciate you coming out, man.
Man, thank you.
No, it was fun.
Definitely.
It was fun.
I'm super
I enjoyed
grateful
it.
for the dude in the prison yard, man. Because you're a light, bro. You're a blessing.
Really.
In the world, I'm glad to have you out here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're on the outs, bro. Not on the ends.
No more on the ends.
So you're in Arete and in self-development groups, but not in jail.
Not in jail.
You know, that's good. You know, hey, everybody send Brad a message and just say that you're happy that he's out in the real world with us and that he's not in, and to keep his nose clean. So, guys, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. As always, we did, you know, especially with a guest like Brad. I mean, he lives up to exactly everything that he's talking about. He lives it. He does it. He takes action. This is the type of individual that we like to surround ourselves with. And again, this is the type of individual that we trust with some of the people in our network, right? You know, you just don't do that. When you have a network of people, you almost protect them, right? It's just like everybody's looking out for each other. Even Aaron was like, dude, well, who's this person? Or who's that? Like, I only want to do business with people that I like, right? You don't want to make business shittier than it already is. It's already hard enough. And Brad's one of those people. I'm like, no brainer. This guy's fucking cool as shit.
Seriously,
so,
appreciate it, man.
Anywho, hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care. Kick ass. Have a good one.
Peace.